So we could. I'm not sure if we'll be able to go through very quickly. If we are, we could do two today because they're both like this one and the next one are rather short. But if not, we can only do one. We'll see by the time that we're done the first one if it looks like we'll be able to do the second one. So yesterday we were talking about the wheel of fortune, as it's I don't know if they got the phrase from this concept or if they just made it up on their own.
I'm sure that they were.
I'm sure there's some kind of relation to some degree. But anyhow, the wheel of fortune, that there's a hashpah that comes down, there's sustenance that's given into Atzilus, and Atzilus is still at the end of Urin Seif, as it's being drawn in the level of Kav. And it gets to the end of Atzilus, and then it needs to be channeled somewhere. And there's like a wheel, and the wheel can be turned either to the right side, where it goes into goodness and kindness for us, or it can go into the left side. And the left side usually means something negative for us. So Hashem turns the wheel depending on what a person does. So even though there's a hashpah that's given for Rosh Hashanah, but a person is judged every single day, then in Rosh Hashanah a person is told how much they're going to get for the whole year, how much hashpah they have up there. And then every single day a person is judged where the hashpah should go. So this is the Seder. And we say that the wheel that turns the hashpah is Malchus of Atzilus. So now we're going to continue discussing the wheel of fortune a little bit. So the person that's turning the wheel and causes the sphere to be turned so that it should go in accordance with what people need down here with the actions of mankind. Who is the level of the measuring stick of Chachma. That the Chachma of Torah turns the wheel according to whatever it is that we've caused down here. If we do what's good by Torah down here, then the wheel gets turned for good, and if not, chas v'shalom. So the feature of Chachma here, because Chachma is where you have the rationales. All of the rationales come from Chachma. That if something should be in such and such a way, that cause an effect, etc. These are all logical processes. These are all rational things. To like everything has a seder. Everything has an order. So this is what Chachma is. That is to say that there should be fulfillment of Torah and that we should turn away from the 365 Miztvos and all of their offshoots, and that we should do the 248 Miztvos and all of their offshoots. As it says, as we explained before. And therefore, from Chachma is drawn the turning of the wheel. However the wheel turns is dictated by Chachma. The imekayim Torah mitzvah is that if you fulfill Torah mitzvah is then the Malchus will receive sustenance from the right side. And there will be a hashpah of tev. There will be a hashpah of goodness. And that is to say that things will happen in a way of kindness. And if chas v'shalom the generation isn't fair, then the hanhaga will be through Gvura. Things will happen in a way of Gvura. Now, just to be clear, from what he's implying, this is what it seems to me, and this also fits with the lashon of the Is that we did yesterday. But it seems that he's saying that it's not Chachma of the next level. It's not Chachma of Bria. He's saying it's Chachma of Atzilus. Chachma of Atzilus is able to manipulate the wheel of Malchus. That's like some 9 steps below it, and it's able to decide which channel it should get, which side it should go from, and that in and of itself turns the wheel that Malchus should be giving hashpah in a way of chesed or in a way of gvura. So, if in Chachma of Atzilus is convinced that it makes sense for a person to get hashpah, then to get hashpah in a way of chesed, then Chachma of Atzilus will pass down the hashpah in a way of chesed through Atzilus, like in Atzilus, and then it's going to get to Malchus at the bottom, and then the Malchus is going to give it to the side that I got it from. So if I got it from Chesed, it's going to give it to Chesed. If I got it from Gvura, it's going to give it to Gvura. Seemingly that's what he's saying.
Has it used the lashon of door, of generation? Or
yeah, he used the...
So what, effectively it's saying that it's the whole generation. It's not just yourself that influences where it goes. It's actually all of Klal Yisrael.
So there is a concept of Klal Yisrael, but I think he was more borrowing the phrase of Achshar Dara. Not as in, it's not just that he said the generation. He said Achshar Dara. That if it's not, it's saying a fitting generation. Another thing to be said, perhaps just something that crossed my mind, is that he's referring to generation not in the sense of like a general sense of the generation, but rather that you have different generations in your life. That like, I mean, kind of like you said, the iPhone has different generations. Every year they come out with a new iPhone, a new generation, even though they haven't waited 20 years and waited until all of the people above 60 have passed on. But it's a new generation, so every Rosh Hashanah we get like a new generation of Chayas. It's something that I thought, but in general, it's just the phrase Akshadar that I think he was going for.
Could it be referring to how, I think I remember reading somewhere that Mashiach can come with Chesed or it can come with Gevurah?
Yeah, but it's not particularly related. This is the concept of a reckoning, of a calculation. So Aleph, so this is the concept of calculation in two things. So Aleph, that if mankind is fit below and if their actions are fit according to what the reckoning of Torah says is good, and secondly, that there needs to be a calculation in how Chesed and Gvura should interact. If there should be more on the side of the right, which is Shatia and Hagul Kines Chesed, that the interaction that the world should be run in a way mainly of Chesed, or Chas Shalom, not in such a way that it should be more Gvura. So V'zeh the Isa Mishnah. To explain this, and I'll explain it now. We mentioned before that you need to have a mixture of Chesed and Gvura. The world can't survive only on Chesed. It would be the equivalent of if it rained 12 inches at once. That all of the houses would be destroyed. Even though rain is a very good thing, and you daven there should be many, many inches of rain in the fields and in Eretz Yisrael. I don't think we're davening in Australia. There should be a lot of rain. I think Australia has that taken care of without our help, But we daven that there should be rain. But we want the rain to be given in a way of droplets. You need everything to be limited. So he's saying there's two calculations that need to happen. The first one is how much hashpah do we get? How much water do we get to be pushing the wheel and turning it, etc. Like to be going through it. But also, how should the balance be made between Chesed and Gvura? There needs to be a balance. If you have a lot of hashpah and it's not able to go anywhere, it could ultimately be a destructive force. We're not interested in getting hashpah. We're interested in having good. And good, kindness doesn't necessarily mean good. If you have a person, Chas v'Shalom, I'm bringing too many examples from later because these are all things we're going to discuss. If you have a person and Chas v'Shalom, they lose the ability to move their hand, but then you give them the ultimate ability to move their hand. You give them so much chayas in moving their hand that their hand just goes like this. It's just extended fully, and all of the fingers are fully extended and whatever. You gave them all of the ashpah to move their hand. You didn't give them the ability to take away the ashpah. They need to be able to fine motor movement, and even gross motor movement, whatever. It all requires that not only that you should be able to pump energy in, it needs that you should be able to pump energy out. So you need to have a balance, a fine balance between chesed and gvura, which is, why sometimes you want there to be gvura. Gvura is very necessary. The world wouldn't survive without gvura. Not to get too much into Hasidic concepts, but if the Eivusher were to be revealed fully in the world right now, as things are, the world wouldn't be able to handle it.
We didn't even handle it at Mount Sinai.
We didn't. The world survived Mount Sinai, which is
no, but they couldn't even hear his voice.
Yeah, exactly. There's too much divine revelation we just can't handle. Everything needs to be with a balance, and that's why it says that Hashem originally wanted to. It's din mitzrachim. That's complicated. Anyhow, V'zeh the Isra Mishnah, and I'm trying to. I think maybe we could finish I think we'll be able to do the next one also. So I'm just trying to stay goal oriented. V'zeh the Isra Mishnah. This is what it says in the Mishnah. Know that everything is according to the calculation. Rashi comments on the pasuk in. I think it's a pasuk in Koheles, but I'm not sure. Anyhow. It says that one by one to find the number. That every individual pruta that you give to tzedakah, it all adds up to one great calculation, to one great number of how much you've given. And also there's a concept of cheshbon with a negative connotation. As it says, it says about the pasuk that they tell a person what his speech is. Even what a person says between a man and his wife, which are things that a person very often tramples, because a person doesn't realize. Very often, people don't realize that they need to have clean speech with their wife. And obviously, it's important. I say it's obviously it's important. It's actually not so important. There's this famous story of Rav Kahana hiding under Rav's bed, but that's for another time maybe. Yeah, but people have. People don't realize that it's important to speak to your wife in a nice way, and etc. etc. I shouldn't be talking about this because I'm not married. But the point is that people also often speak in a not tzniistic way to their wives, and they don't even realize. They think they're in the bedroom and speak in a not tzniistic way. But it says that a person is going to give judgment, and by the way, the judgment isn't necessarily like a bad thing. There could be sometimes a context, as in the story with Rav, that sometimes there's a context for everything, but a person will be judged for it, and a person needs to be able to say, "Taka, this is the context, and this is how I frame whatever it is." Everyone can speak their own individual Rav about how to do this. I've said too much for an unmarried person teaching a Chassidus class. The point is, things that people don't even do. Everything comes to the calculation. Everything adds up. So you have both that you give a lot of tzedakah, and it adds up, and you have that things that that a person doesn't even realize could be negative, and it adds up. So V'yesh Mefarshim, HaMishnah. So there are those that explain the Mishnah that we said know that everything is according to the calculation. That if two people do the same avera, not necessarily are their punishments the same. So if the person's neshama is on a greater scale, it went through less levels of shalshus, it's a very high neshama, then the pagam to the neshama through doing an avera will be very different than a person that's on a lower level. So know that everything is according to the cheshbon is to say that mitzvahs it's not just like the same. I mean, some people say like you can't know the difference between mitzvahs, and some like a mitzvah like Shiloh Hakan, the reward is long life, even though it's seemingly a very easy mitzvah, so you should never try to figure out how much mitzvahs are worth. A person might have thought though that two people doing the same mitzvah, doing the same avera, would give the same level of reward. And the Mishnah is coming to tell you that no, this is how some people explain the Mishnah, that the Mishnah is coming to tell you no, it doesn't change, it doesn't dictate the severity of the mitzvah. Everything goes according to who the person is. I think it would be very hard pressed to say that a just God, and something that people don't seem to have, but that a just God would have a person born frei, born non-religious, and that they do have various right left and center, and that Hashem is possibly going to tell them that after 120 you're a bad person and you talking you chazer all of these years. Obviously the Eibush doesn't do things in that scale, and it varies, it fluctuates, but you have people that they're born from whatever it is, and they still don't realize certain things. But that everything depends on where a person is holding. Everything depends on what they're made out of, the stuff they're made out of, what's their...
So becoming more religious then becomes more responsibility.
Yes. It also shows you how good it is to be religious, because it's so good that even though it's more responsibility, we still do it. But yeah, it's a responsibility. There's a story with the Friedrich Rabbi and after this one. Okay, so I'll say the story with Rav, and I'll say this, and I don't think we're gonna get to finish the next one. But so there's a story that Friedrich Rabbi once shared by Fabrengen, that he started the story that there was in times of Baal Shem Tov, there was a very big kitcher of Milo, and Baal Shem Tov himself didn't have the ability to cancel it, but he knew that there was someone that had the schos, someone that had enough schosim to counter the Xera. He said, what was this guy? What was his schos? He said it's a very simple yid. He worked in stables. He was a horse cleaner or something like that. And he was a very simple yid, but every single day he said the whole Tehillim 5 times. And so there's a chassid in the crowd, and people back in the day said a lot of Tehillim. So people knew like what the human limit of Tehillim saying was. And he said, Rabbi, I'm not sure if I heard you correctly, because you said that he said the whole Tehillim 5 times a day, and it's not possible to say the whole Tehillim 5 times a day. Because even if you're saying that he pushes spent every moment, but 5 times a day doesn't seem to be possible. So Friedrich said no, literally every single moment that he had, he was saying Tehillim. So the guy said, I hear what you're saying, it's good stuff, but it's still impossible to work and if you're putting in enough work as a stable cleaner to be able to say the Tehillim. Sorry, no, it's not. If you're doing enough work as a stable worker to make like a living for a family, and you're also davening Shachar and whatever it is, you don't have enough time in your day to say the Tehillim 5 times. The Frierdiker Rebbe said, he said the Tehillim even while he was cleaning the stables. So he said, you're not allowed to say Tehillim while you're cleaning stables. It's a bad smell. So the Frierdiker Rebbe said, Taka, you're not allowed to. And this guy was uneducated and he didn't know that. And when he goes up after 120, he's going to have to give a din and a cheshbon for the fact that he said Tehillim while he was cleaning the stables. Not for the fact that he was cleaning the Tehillim while he was cleaning the stables, but the fact that there was a time that there was a shir that was given in Shul. And in the shir that was given in Shul, they mentioned that you're not allowed to say Tehillim while cleaning stables. Or whatever, enough information to give over that. And the guy is going to be judged not for the fact that he was saying Tehillim while he was cleaning the stables because he didn't know better, but for the fact that he didn't go to that shir that one time. However, as far as the schus goes, he had the schus that he said the whole Tehillim every single day, and Baal Shem Tov asked him, and he gave the schus to be able to say Klal Yisrael and Shalom Al Yisrael. So that's the story. What you see from the story is that there's different levels of Gam, and everything goes according to a cheshbon that the Eibusher is not like out to get you or anything like that. The Eibusher looks at each individual where they're holding, and he's able to. I mean, he puts different people, different categories, and whatever it is, and it all depends on who the person is. For this guy, saying to him and the thing, his only sin was the fact that there happened to be one time a share that he missed that would have told him not to. But ultimately, he didn't hear that share, and that's what he has to give the cheshbon for the fact that he missed the share. Put that as like the headline for Rabbi Ullman's Spotify thing.
Yeah,
But you have to give the cheshbon for missing the share. But yeah, so that's the thing. I'll say the story with Rav after we're done with the show. Anyhow, so these are 2 ways that people are explain the Mishnah. The first way that you explain the Mishnah is that a person needs to give a cheshbon for every little thing. The second way that we explain the Mishnah is that Hashem makes the cheshbon about everything that we do for how much it affects. So v'chol zeh hu al b'seder shalshlos. All of this is according to seder shalshlos. V'hainu ha'cheshbon v'adin u'mishva shenimshach v'nachachma shehi reishis shalshlos. That everything goes according to the calculation, according to the judgment, according to the justice that's drawn from Chachma, which is the beginning of Seder Shalshos. So from Chachma Vatzilos, things are decided. If things are according to Torah, then everything comes down in a good way. And if things are not as they're supposed to be, then things will come down in more of a glorious way. And there needs to be some kind of balance, but everything happens according to Chachma Vatzilos. That's the Iker. But as far as Aaron Seif, which is above Shalshos goes, there's no calculation. Because whatever we do down here doesn't have any place by Aaron Seif. We say that if you do a mitzvah and it causes a great shkach, it gives a great hamshachah. But that only matters in Seder Shalshlos, because in Seder Shalshlos is where you have hamshachas like this. You have chacham atzilos and it dictates this and it dictates that. Above Seder Shalshlos, when we do a mitzvah, we do an avera. It says in Chasam Tifugay, Rav Pashach Matasalei, if a person does an avera, it doesn't do anything to the Eibusher. If a person does a mitzvah, it doesn't do anything for the Eibusher. Hashem invests himself in the world so that we should be able to have, that we can do a mitzvah and we can do an avera, and that it should kaviyach will affect him in some way. But be'etzem, above Seder Shalshlos, it doesn't take any place, it doesn't have any effect, it doesn't do anything. So, above Seder Shalshlos, in this place where what we do doesn't have any hold, so therefore, when the hashpah is coming from there, it's not coming through Torah, it's not coming through Seder Shalshlos. A lot of shafach could be given to Goyim, a lot of sustenance could be given to Goyim, without any calculation, because it doesn't have to pass through Chachma Vatzilos. This is why the wicked have a lot of success in their path. Because Hashem is Mayach Af, he lengthens his anger, as we said. That he receives from the level of Erech Payim, because the Goyim receive from the level of Erech Payim, which is above the level of calculation. That Hashem says Erech Payim, that Hashem lengthens his anger for tzaddikim, for Hashem, and he also Marach Payim. The Payim doesn't necessarily mean anger, that he lengthens his goodness for the Hashem. But Hashem lengthens for the tzaddikim is that because they receive, he lengthens anger for the Hashem. They receive from the level that's above, say, their shalshlos. Shnifshalchem hashpal gam she'inam ro'im, and they receive hashpal even if they are not worthy. Memela nimshach riba hashpal lefi she'ibim kinas b'digvol k'mishas someone. And so because they're receiving from Uri and Seif, that it doesn't have this kind of calculation, doesn't have a cheshbon, so they're able to receive in a very high way, as we will explain soon. So kitzur tunas tikla liyibim hashpal chesed l'smel hashpal gvura hu b'cheshbon mindoyak. So the way that the wheel of fortune turns for hashpal of chesed to the right or to the left for hashpal of gvura is with a precise calculation. So aleph lefi kiyum Torah mitzvahs, one according to the way that Torah mitzvahs is fulfilled, and beis ba'ifin askalus chesed gvura, and the way that chesed and gvura interact. V'achedru mekiyum Torah mitzvahs lehafkei hu lefi chashivus aprati shel kol neshama. The calculation of a person fulfilling Torah mitzvahs, or the opposite chas v'shalom, is according to the particular importance of that neshama, of the neshama that's either doing or not doing Torah mitzvahs. And the reason why the path of the wicked is successful is because they receive from above say their shalshas.
Right.
All right.
If